Alright, in this video we're going to go ahead and discuss how to use PGP on Windows and Mac machines. We're going to be focusing more on Windows as most users of this stuff are on Windows machine. So we won't go through the Mac process, although I'll show you which software you should be downloading at least to get you started if you are on a Mac. Otherwise, we'll go back to our Windows desktop and take a look at the tools we will need to use PGP encryption. So we have our browser pulled up again, and we have navigated to gpg4win.org. Now this is a very useful tool for Windows for PGP encryption, and this is the tool we will be using to actually encrypt our files with PGP. So we'll go through the process of downloading that, but I wanted to mention on the Mac side, you can use the GPG suite. The GPG suite is also very useful, and it does have documentation that can walk you through. It's a pretty easy process. Creating a new key pair, things like that should be pretty easy. So you'll have to actually take a look at that if you would like. Otherwise, continue on using this one for the Windows. So we'll close out those two things. And then we will begin to download GPG for Win. So go ahead and just hit that giant download button on the home page. We don't want to donate. You can if you would like. Otherwise, you can just skip this method. So hit 0 and download, and it will begin the download. Of course, we'll want to save the file, and once it is ready, we will pull it up. So the file has just wrapped up downloading, so we'll go ahead and hit the execution button, and we will select yes and go through the process of installation. To start, we'll select English for the language, hit next, hit next. We do want to install all of the default programs. You can install GPA if you want, otherwise just ignore it if you're not sure what that is. Hit next, pick where it saves, of course, and then if you want to add it on your computer anywhere specifically, but we'll go ahead and just install. It shouldn't take too long to install here, so we'll go ahead and just get through that process. And once it is finished downloading, go ahead and hit next. And then you can actually view the README if you would like. We're just not going to do that for now, and hit finish. Now it is done. Now you'll realize when this installs, it's obviously not just one program. It'll install a couple. Cleopatra is one of them, and there's a few more. GPG for Win. It comes with a few different things. So you can see Cleopatra and then some documentation and things like that. So what we will actually do to start is we will open up Cleopatra. And this is how we're going to actually create our first key pair for the PGP program. So you obviously need to create a key pair just to get that started. So once Cleopatra pulls up, it'll look something like this. Now, like mine, it'll most likely be empty because you haven't imported any keys yet. So you can start by going to File and then New Certificate. And it will ask you if you want to create an X.509 key pair or an OpenPGP key pair. Obviously, you want the OpenPGP. And then you'll have to put in some basic information. Start with your name. So I'll just put my name and then email. For the email, I'll do this one. And then any comments if you want. You do need a name and email, and this is why it would be useful to also have an anonymous email. There are a lot of deep web services that offer anonymous email, but there's a lot of regular internet services that offer anonymous email as well. But it will be connected to your keys, so if you don't want to show your identity at all, you might want to add an anonymous email. There are some advanced settings that you could go to. I wouldn't mess with any of this unless you know what you're doing, but this just changes the type of encryption we're using. But we can go ahead and hit next. We can review it here before we can continue, and we'll go ahead and hit create, and then the keys are now being created. It will ask you for a passphrase. For the passphrase, you will need to put something that is secure. So obviously if I tried to put like a test, that's not going to be real good. You want that quality to be as high up as you can. So I have a go-to password I use that is pretty secure, so we'll go ahead and use that. But be sure you're using a secure password, uppercase, lowercase, with numbers and special characters as well. We'll hit OK. It'll ask you to re-enter it again just to confirm, making sure you entered it correctly. and we should be good. So now it is creating the keys. As it shows here, you can go ahead and just start typing in this field to help create it faster. It went pretty fast, so we didn't need to do that. But if you type, it just helps make it. It'll use the timing in between your keystrokes to help create the encryption. But that's pretty much it. Our new key pair is created successfully. So at this point, you would need to back up these keys or at least keep them in some way. You can send it to your email or just make a backup. We'll go ahead and just make a backup. The output file, you can choose where it actually saves to. So we'll just go ahead and save to our desktop for now. Although, remember, you have to keep these safe if you can. We'll name it PGP keys. And you can actually throw on some encryption over that as well, but we'll go ahead and just hit OK, and it says it was successfully exported. So that is the process of creating the keys. Pretty simple, but that's not everything we want. We obviously want to be able to send a message, so how would we do that? Well, once we have our file done and downloaded onto our desktop, our actual certificate, what you will need to do is actually, so say you want to encrypt to somebody else. We'll use that as a first example. I delete that because this actually, I saved our certificate again really quickly. Now if you open this, you can actually find your public key block. So this is what you would send to somebody. This whole thing, you would just send that to somebody if they wanted to send a message to you, and they would just use this and then send it to you. But for the most part, when it comes to using PGP for the dark web, we just want to send a message to somebody, usually with our address or something like that. So what we will do is we'll pretend this is their key. So what we'll do is maybe we'll change it, a few letters in it, just to make it not quite the same, but it should still work. Then we'll go ahead and we'll save it again, but I'm going to change the name of it really quick, test key. And then what we actually will do is you want to save it as all files, and then save it as the extension GPG. Then hit save, and that will finish there. And then now you have their key, so this is whoever's is you want to encrypt a message to. So if you actually want to encrypt your message to somebody, you'll first, of course, need this key. And then what you want to do is import that key to Cleopatra. So we'll pull up Cleopatra, and then we'll go to import certificates, and then navigate to where that certificate is at. You can see our test key here, and then click open, and it should be able to import it. Obviously it's just going to import it as me because it was already mine, but if it wasn't, it would be there already. And then what you'll want to do is you'll want to save your message you want to send to this person. So once we have imported that certificate onto Cleopatra, what you'll now want to do is actually create another text document, and this one you'll want to save as your message you want to encrypt. So this could either be an email or some other text file, but we'll just do a text file for now, and then say this is a test encryption, and we will save that, and then we'll go ahead and copy it, and then go back to Cleopatra, go to clipboard, and then encrypt, and then you can add your recipient, in this case me, hit OK, and then hit next, and it will encrypt it, and you will be done. So once it has succeeded, just go ahead and click OK, and then you'll actually notice under here, if we go ahead and just paste now, save to our clipboard, if you paste, it's actually the message now encrypted. So this is this text right here, but now it is encrypted, and all you would need to do is copy this and then send it to whoever you want it to. So it's a fairly simple process. Again, the overview would be to get the person's key. You would want to import the certificate to Cleopatra. Then you can get any text you want, copy it, and then just go to Cleopatra and hit encrypt. You can go to there to the tray, or you can go to the clipboard up here. And once that is done, if you paste again somewhere, you'll notice the encrypted message. So we have it again. We'll do it one more time just to show you. So again, copy the test encryption, go to clipboard, encrypt, add the recipient, hit next. It says it's successful, so we'll go back to our clipboard, and you'll notice if I paste, Now it is an encrypted message. So that's pretty much the process of encrypting a message to somebody using PGP. Now you may want to actually receive messages yourself using PGP. I'm not going to dive into it in this video because we don't really need to use that throughout this course. If you want to learn more about that, the documentation comes with GPG for Win. So if you go ahead and I have that pulled up over here. If you download that, you'll notice there's a lot of information on here. They go through pretty much everything you would need to know when it comes to encryption. Looking for that index, there it is. I mean, they go through a lot of different stuff about, encrypting emails and inspecting certificates, signing emails, encrypting files, all of that. But we don't need to go too far into that because that's not too necessary. If you want to learn more about this stuff, of course, visit the web. There's plenty of resources on PGP. Otherwise, in the next video, we're going to continue to learn about PGP. However, now we're going to use PGP on the Tails operating system, which is the best place to use the PGP encryption software.